Oh, 30 years.
Donkey years. As a matter of fact, me and the son used to go to nightclubs together, so he know me from doing that. So I support him. I sent Monique over there to help support them. We got to keep on supporting. You support other people, but please keep our black business. Because I remember when I used to live up this block here, we had a lot of black businesses up this block right here. Moshood and them was like the last, and Brooklyn Moon was like the last of the Mohicans, to tell you the truth. But I lived in Atlantic Terminals years ago, back in the 70s, and I knew what was going on. We had junkyards on this side and all that. So we seen the development, but a lot of us didn't have the vision to buy into a lot of the stuff that we should have bought into. Just like Harlem, they lost Harlem like crazy. Selling buildings for $1. See how you missed out on that? It must have been a secret meeting to tell you that it's selling for $1. So we need to get into buying and owning real estate, buying property again. I'm working on buying some land where I can do retreats, where we can have Sam, have Aquila, we do retreats out of the city. And let's look at the stars and really do some stuff. Let's start looking. I have a friend that owns 450 acres in North Carolina. Passed down from his family. So we need to be able to do these type of health retreats, these type of zodiac retreats, all these type of things, so we can actually, because here in the city, you can hardly see some of the stars unless you're in certain places. But if you go down south or you go upstate and those kind of places, you'll be able to take a telescope and look at, we can look at the Dipper, we can look at the constellations. Then we can start teaching some real stuff, so they can see it for themselves what it is. So respect to what we've been doing and respect to what Brother Sam, I want all of you to give a well-deserved round of applause to our brother who's coming up right now, a great astrologer, a great man, co-founder of the Zodiac Line with brother and sister Aquila Norris. So welcome the one and only Sam F. Reynolds! Give a round of applause! Yeah, so he's going to hook that up. Any questions about the numbers? If you want to get into any questions, we can talk about some numbers real quick. You got any questions? Anybody got any questions? Birthday questions? If you're celebrating a birthday, happy Earth Day to you. Today is, the 25th? Today is my father's birthday, actually, and Will Smith's birthday. So my father, I called him for his birthday, and of course, he's on his way. He's a minister, so he's on his way to a church. And yeah, hey, it's day. That's what he does. But I know if he got into this, because number 7, they can get into the esoterics and the metaphysics real good. If they got into it, he'll be a powerhouse in this. So I had to wish him a birthday greetings this morning. Hold on, did we turn it on? Let's turn it back on. Yeah, it is. Let me warm it up. So, so if you're celebrating as a Libra, yes, sister, how you doing?
I'm good. There's a new astrology, sign.
The new sign?
Yes, do you follow this?
Do I follow? No, I don't follow, but I'm sure he'll be able to tell you about that. He'll be able to tell you about that. I stay with the numbers, to tell you the truth.
Right.
I'm about the mathematics.
Right.
You can tell me you born under this new alpha-sophagus, whatever. Snuffleupagus, I don't know. But I tell you, I'm with the numbers, and I'll touch on astrology every now and then. But we're gonna let's play it up. I got it. Let's menu it. And, okay, there it is. And it's about to go to your PC. Bam! Now, all right, we got it. We're gonna clear it up right now. That's good, because I know. There it is. How you like it? Can you see?
Oh, yeah.
It looks better. All right? All right. Once again, give a round of applause to our brother Samuel F. Reynolds. Give a round of applause.
I don't know if I need a mic. I took some adaptation for the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. All right. Thank you for that warm welcome. So, just a few words before we get into, I'm not used to the mic as I used to be. I'll get into why that's true in a second, and I will answer your question. That might be a good place to start.
Good.
The question was about the putative 13th sign that's been added to new astrology, so I'll give my thoughts about that. But first, I want to say that my name is Samuel Reynolds, and I am the founder of the Zodiac Lounge and a co-partner with this woman here, Aquila Norris. Right? So our next event is going to be October 22nd, and it's going to be at Minka. I can't remember the
1120
Washington Avenue. But one thing I want to say is that King Simon has made clear that there's going to be a sign-up sheet. Now, I have one
Okay.
for the email list,
Right.
but this is actually going to be available to anyone who's on that list as a PDF. So be sure either you sign up with King Simon so that I can get that email,
Right.
and then I will send you a copy of this as a PDF for you to go over on your own. That way you'll be on my list. I'm telling you the other reason why I'm doing it. You'll be on my list, and you can also hear about the Zodiac Lounge. Of course, you can unsubscribe, so there's no obligation, but that's how you will know about it.
That's right.
The other thing that I'm very excited about is that today is the 4th Sunday of September, and 36 years ago, I preached my first sermon on my mother's birthday, on the 4th Sunday. It was September 28th. So this is a special return for me. I'm going to talk to you about Jupiter returns in just a brief moment. But this is a special moment for me, and it's a way of introducing a little bit about myself. So as you probably have already conjectured, I was a preacher. So I was a child preacher. I went into the ministry when I was 12 years old, and I preached until 19 years old. And then I had a crisis, as many of you probably have had, of faith. So I stepped away from the pulpit because I didn't think it was right to preach and not know what you were talking about or feel secure about what you were preaching about. So I stepped away, and eventually I lapsed into atheism. And then I became an atheist and was in the wilderness of atheism until sometime in my late 30s. And then I made my peace with the idea of God, and I converted to Islam. And I converted to Islam, I'm going to be very open about this, not because I felt like it was this singular truth and all of you should know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was a way of having a practice of reminding me, lined up with the heavens, lined up with the sun, as a practice of grounding my spirituality. And that's why I became a Muslim. Not because, like I said, it's like the singular truth and all of you should be Muslim. That's not my idea. But I prayed with King Simon, so we're both Muslims going to the same masjid. So when I talk to you about religion, I'm talking to you as a practitioner and as someone who has not been a practitioner. So I'm going to come from both angles without trying to get you to believe in any particular way. So let me answer this question, and then I'll get into the body and meat of my talk. The question was, what about this 13th sign? Is all of astrology wrong? You know, I was an Aquarius, and now am I a Capricorn? Or is it the other way around? I'm going to answer this very forthrightly. Now, I do have a site. It's called unlockastrology.com. And you can go on there and do a search for it. I also am on Facebook, and I put a post up about this recently. So you also can check that, so there's more information. But I'll say this to you succinctly. Astrologers have known about the sign of Ophiuchus for literally 2,000 years. NASA doesn't know jack about astrology. There are 3 zodiacs. This is what might be confusing for some people. There are 3 zodiacs. There's the zodiac most of you know, which is the zodiac that we talk about Aries to Pisces, and we go by the sign. That is organized by the seasons. The reason why this is fall and Libra is because we look at it from the seasons. Then there is another zodiac called the sidereal zodiac. The sidereal zodiac is closer aligned to what we call the constellations, the actual literal bodies. Now, there's a 23-degree difference between the sidereal zodiac and the tropical. Now, what does that mean for you? That means if you're born in late Aries, meaning that your birthday is like April 19th or April 18th, you are safely in Aries. But if you're born April 1st in the sidereal zodiac, you would go into Pisces. That's what I mean by that 23-degree difference. There is no additional sign in sidereal astrology. The same 12 signs, but sidereal astrology bases itself closer to the constellations. Now the third zodiac. The third zodiac is what NASA is talking about. And there are actually 14 constellations that are close to what we call the ecliptic. And that's the imaginary orbit of the sun around the earth. Now we all know, right? Does the earth go around the sun or the sun go around the earth? The earth goes around the sun. So when we say imaginary, we're talking about being geocentric. Astrologers know that. Astronomers, which are not the same as astrologers, always want to make us stupid. We know this. So the constellation that they're talking about, Ophiuchus, is close to that orbit point of the sun going around the earth. It has been for many years, but we don't use that. There's a reason why we use 12 and not 13. Nobody, and then there's some people who now are learning to capitalize on this, but nobody that we know of in history has used a 13-sign zodiac to predict Jack. So when people come to me like, well, I know Brother Aru Haduma, I just made up a name. He practices the 13th sign. What do you do, brother? I just ask a question because I'm in touch with my inner asshole. I just ask one question, and I tell people, and I say, oh, okay. So who in history has practiced the 13 signs? Just give me a name or a book, anything I can use. I know they won't come up with anything because it's not something that's been done in history. So to answer your question, you are still the sign that you believe you are if you use sidereal or tropical astrology. We do know about Ophiuchus as it's named, but it's a constellation that has importance, but it is not part of the zodiac. Okay? Is that more than you asked for? But I like to give a thorough answer. That's one thing you'll see, I hope, from the lecture. That I like to, as long as it, I need to say. Yeah, as long as it won't move. Wow, look at that dexterity. I feel like he's like a balancing act. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Alhamdulillah, thank you. All right. So when we talk about, let me go back and say what we're talking about. Astrology, the key to unlocking your religion and spirit. The locks. We're talking about 4 different aspects today. We're talking about time, culture, religion, and your identity. Now, these are not necessarily, although I'm going to go in a particular order, they can be approached from any particular order, meaning that I can go from time to your identity to religion. They are interrelational rather than just purely sequential. But for our purposes of just being